Hey guys, you found it. Welcome to the Fearless Pursuit of Freedom podcast. I am your host, Brandon Richards. I'm a real estate investor and avid entrepreneur based out of Flagstaff, Arizona. My wife and I run a real estate investment company, the OPF Group, and the brokerage, OPF Realty. We focus on land acquisitions across several states, flip and build homes, acquire and wholesale apartments, and we are now the proud owners of the real estate investor software, LeadMiningPro. LeadMiningPro is a real estate investor CRM that we are building based off of our 10 years of experience in the game. Listen in as I interview the nation's leading entrepreneurs and discuss the monumental battles of business and life. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Brandon here with the Fearless Pursuit of Freedom podcast, and I've got Nick on the show today, and I'm super excited to have him on to talk about LeadMiningPros and everything that he does out there in Florida and for all the real estate investors across the nation. So Nick, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah, glad to be here, dude. Good
Yeah.
morning, man. Having a great day so far. I got my morning walk in, and I'm excited for us to chum it up a bit.
Awesome. So for those that don't know, let's just do a quick intro about
Yeah,
LeadMiningPros, what that does, and then
yeah,
how you came about the business idea for that.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so we're a done for you lead generation company. No contracts, no commitments, no setup fees, and what we do is we try to do it all for you, hence the done for you, right? But we pull a list. We can pull a list in any market. We can get their phone numbers for that list. That's called skip tracing for those who don't know. And ours is very accurate. We get the right person 80% of the time. I have American cold callers or foreign cold callers. So you can pick whatever you think would work best in your market or your situation. And then we do text messaging as well. So all that I offer that bundled up in a single package, or you could buy it a la carte, just like at a restaurant.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
So what brought upon this business idea, and why did you think of this to solve problems for us real estate investors out there?
Yeah, so I don't know how much you know, but I used to run a real estate education company that taught people how to invest.
Oh, sweet. I did
And
not.
yeah, yeah. And when I did that, I ended up when I did that, I ended up dealing with all these investors and they were having a problem getting started.
Yep.
And it was their biggest issue. Where do I get my list from? How do I get the phone numbers? Do I call them? Do I text them? Do I email them? Do I direct mail them? And they were getting paralyzed. What software should I use? And I was an executive and I was in charge of fulfillment. Okay. And so it was my job to make sure the students were getting success. So my goal was to get them to success as quickly as humanly possible. And so I was going to do that. And that's how this company came about. People, they were doing direct mail and they were running out of money very fast. And mainly because they're new. I'm not saying direct mail is anything, but when you're new and you spend $3,000 on direct mail, that's a chunk. You're not even qualified enough to handle. Let's say you get 10 leads, that's $300 a lead. If you're brand new, that's an expensive lesson. you
Mhm.
know so I started teaching everyone how to cold call themselves, and they were cold calling. They were hand dialing back then, and they were calling the list and everything, and it was very successful. So when that job came to an end, I went home and I was like, well, I'm gonna be a real estate investor. I've
Mhm.
been teaching people how to cold call. I see how easy it is. I'm gonna get it done. And I end up jumping on that. I start cold calling every day on Facebook Live. And before I knew it, after 3 months, I had people calling me up, asking me if I'll call for them, asking, hey, I don't have enough time. Could I pay you to call for me? I see you do it every day. And before I knew it, I'm making way more money by selling cold calling than I am through real estate. And it was really an organic. So this was 8 years ago. So
Yeah.
I founded this company 8 years ago, completely
Wow.
by accident.
Man,
Yeah.
well, that's pretty cool. That actually reminded me why I wanted to have you on in the first place. We got into a TCPA conversation on
Yeah.
Facebook. So we'll talk about that here in a second, but you
Yeah.
bring up a couple points because these are struggles that all new and frankly seasoned investors have is what's working, which market, all that stuff, choosing what niche per se. Um, so we'll cold calling a TCPA will pull up, but texting and emailing. Emailing has becoming a little bit more popular lately in the past, what do you say, 8 to 12 months roughly.
Yeah.
It's becoming a little bit of a buzzword out there, but
Yeah.
nobody really has really dialed it in. There's some people that are saying they do it and haven't really tested it, but most skip tracing platforms offer emails
Yeah.
as either with it or an additional couple cents.
Yeah. Correct.
Um, are you finding that those emails provided in those skip tracing platforms are accurate? Are you using them?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not, when people ask me about skip tracing for emails, I tell them to move off of it, to
Yeah.
be honest with you.
Mhm.
Here's the reality. I have 7 emails,
Right.
right? So you skip trace me, you get one. Very slim chance that's the one that I'm
Right.
using today. And I have like 7 emails in this moment. Who knows how many I've had since I was 18 years old, right?
Right.
So, for me, and to your point too, is like the variability. It's different. I don't have 7 phone numbers, right? I've only even had 2 phone numbers my whole life, so it's like if you think about the differentiation, and the email is kind of just like a grab. So for me, I don't really like the email approach, and also email is highly regulated now. It's very easy to get to spam. So if you are doing email, it is like creating a whole nother company. You need to abide by regulations, and they're not regulations like texting or calling like TCPA, but the regulations that there's like algorithms. And if you send emails to people and 60% of people do not open them, Google knows that 60% of people, so they start lowering your ranking, and then you start going to spam and promotion. So
Yeah.
it's its whole own monster,
Yeah.
is kind of what email is. And it's also like a big volume game. So my opinion, if you don't have 50,000 records to begin with, I mean, those 50,000 records may equate to 15 appointments, right? If you're lucky, but it's
Right.
still cheap because it's free. However, it's also a lot of work, I think, for a little result.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that there's been several attempts where I've tried to find somebody I've been unsuccessful finding for phone numbers for texting and calling. So I've found their emails, and typically I'll use Skip Genie, and that lists like 12 of them. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
well, shit, which one do I use? I guess I'm going to BCC all 12 of those freaking emails,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hopefully one of them hits.
Right.
And to your point, I mean, the success rate is pretty slim.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I did get one commercial deal out of it, but it's a hard game.
Well,
Um,
I like that strategy, and I think what you're talking about is snipering properties too, right?
yeah, yeah.
You're finding the one thing that works for you, and when you do that, I agree with you. At all costs, pursue it. But as like a volume game or a cold outreach, I think is different. But if you're like, no, I know this property is abandoned.
Hmm.
I've been there. I need to find this person because I'm going to buy it. I think that is that's really good.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit different. So within lead mining, you are cold calling, texting. Do you do RVM? I hear there's some restrictions on that as well
Yeah,
with the
we
new
do.
TCPA
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, we do not do RVM. The thing is, and I'm pretty educated on all that stuff. So RVM is technically a robo dial. Okay.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we get into a little bit of the TCPA stuff now as I just define a robo dial. So the
Mhm.
newest release that was just made was really, it did two big things to what was already happening. Okay. One is it made robo dials illegal, which were really already the case, but this one made AI officially a robo dial.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So AI is officially illegal now on cold outreach. Okay. Not inbound. Okay. You can do AI for inbound if you want
Mhm.
to, but for cold outreach, it is illegal. Okay.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
so an RVM is technically a robo dial. What's a robo dial? Is a robo dial that a human is not behind.
Right.
Okay. So RVM is a recording, so no human, right? Now, cold calling, which is what we do, we have a human behind each dial. So we are totally in the clear with cold calling, but you have to have a human. You can't have a recording pickup for them. That's called an IVR. Like if it prompts them, press 1 to do this or press 2 to do that. That's an IVR.
Yep.
Okay, I forget what that stands for, but maybe integrated voice recording or something. And then you can actually push it. Those are illegal. RVMs are illegal, and AI dialing
Mhm.
is officially illegal in the new thing. So everything you do does have to have a human behind it.
Interesting. Okay. And they tacked on the auto dialers, right? Or multi-line
Well,
dialers.
you know what's funny? So there's some gray area around that. So I reached out because I mean, they said they did, but not a single auto dialer company stopped selling subscriptions,
Hmm.
right? And so I did reach out to my cold calling company, and I go, hey, like, are you guys out of business after January 27th or what? Right.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're not. This is not affecting us whatsoever. Now, I did not ask them why, but I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe going crazy with it, like 10 lines per dial. We dial very slow at Lead Mining. We just dial at 3 lines per agent.
Yep.
But they said that we will not be affected,
Mm.
by any means. So I don't know where that gray area lies.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't know if that's how the software or the code is written, or what that makes that possible. I did read that auto dialers might be affected, but by reaching out to my company, there's been none, and I know that they're all still like Mojo, like they're all still
Right.
operating. If
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah. Um, Shoot, I just lost it. Dang it. Okay, there was one conversation I had with somebody. Well, they were saying, well, us real estate investors, because we are cold calling and asking to buy their property, we're not technically soliciting anything for them to purchase as a service, and that's where they differentiate the line there. Well,
okay.
what's your take on that?
Well, so I had a customer call me a couple years ago, and he told me that he said that he actually had like a signed statement from his attorney that was like, as long as you operate this way, you're not in infringement. I mean, technically, our cold call is a survey.
Mhm.
Okay, we don't even
That's a good
call
point.
and
Yeah.
say we don't even call and say we want to buy your house. We call and say, have you ever considered selling?
Hmm.
Right. I even thought about changing it to being like, hey, I'm part of a national survey.
Yeah.
Right? I was wondering, have you ever considered selling before?
Yeah.
And it's like, because it technically is just a survey. And then if they say yes, we hit them with 12 questions about the property.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't even talk about buying anything. We don't talk about selling any of that. So I'm in full agreement. And we do about 60,000 dials a week for the last 8 years. And I can tell you, we've never been threatened to be sued. We've we've never had any issues. Now we do a lot of things right, and I can share those with you guys. A lot of what you're doing is not just about operating, but it's about protecting yourself, right? Like
Hmm.
making sure that we're not exposing ourselves to liability. I'll give you one example. Um, I had one client who insisted that we put their business name in our cold call script. Hey, this is Joey from realestatesolutions.com, blah, 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 right? And then the guy said, well, now I know where to send the legal paperwork, and he hangs up on us.
Yep.
Now that guy never sent legal paperwork, okay? But what we learned from that is, why would you go out of your way? Like now, when customers insist, I'm like, no, and here's why, right?
Hmm.
And the truth is, all they have to do is go to Google and type in your business name, and they're going to get your address, they're going to get your name, they might even get your phone number if your business is on Google, right? And so why would you expose yourself to such liability? So one example is when our clients when our sellers ask us who we're calling for, or what company we work for, we say we're private buyers
Hmm.
in the area. We want it to be as mom and pop shop as possible. We don't.
Yeah.
Now, when you're buying a house, you don't want it to be like some corporate company coming in to pick their property apart and stuff. You want to be another guy in the neighborhood who's coming out there. So there's a couple little tricks that you can use that don't make you so vulnerable as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Um, Dang, I lost my train of thought again because I had something else. This whole thing arose because of our Facebook interaction in that group,
Yes.
and
Well, there was one more thing that we hadn't touched on for the new
hmm,
TCPA, and
yeah,
that's the one-to-one consent.
yeah, 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 that's what it was.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
Yeah,
And I love touching on this topic because that's another thing that we protect you from. So, what one-to-one consent means is that there's a lot of companies out there that when they get a lead, they sell it to every customer in that market.
right.
Okay. So now, like, you think you have an exclusive lead, the seller thinks they gave the info to one person, and then six people call them and follow up. So
Yeah.
now they have to have consent from each individual person. The way we protect you is every lead you get from us is completely exclusive.
Yeah.
Okay. Every lead. And so it's like we're not sharing that at all. So we already told them that you're going to be reaching out within 24 hours. So we already have like that consent as well. We're not sharing that lead. But if that person gets a call from 5 people, they do have the right to then take action
Hmm.
and then file suit.
Right. Okay. Um, so enough with the boring part. Let's talk about actionable strategies. So as let's just say I've done 2 deals and I happened upon them because I mailed a foreclosure list and I got lucky. So
Yeah.
I made my way through it. I've got a lead or two where I've closed a couple wholesales, but I don't have my next steps on getting from 2 deals to 10 deals. What would you say would be, and I have $1,500.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
would you say is the best move forward to get your next deal?
Okay. No, I love that. I love that. So, there's two trains of thought, right? So there's I have money and I don't have time,
Hmm.
and then I don't have money and I do have time,
Yeah.
right? So, you said $1,500, but I'll just say, first of all, if you don't have the money and you do have the time, pick up the phone and start dialing.
Yep.
Hands down. You can get a list from us for 10 cents per record. 1,000 records is $100. That's going to give you 800 phone numbers. Go nuts, right?
Yeah.
Just right there, boom, $100 DIY, right? Then there's like done for you, like what we do, which is probably also similar to direct mail. I like ours better because we get more leads for less cost. And if you're new, especially, or you're light on a budget, you don't have the expense to spend $300 per lead, which is what direct mail can run you. So what I recommend, and this depends on your market, and I'll go over the differences. Okay. If you're in a suburban market, okay, by suburban, I don't mean metro, I don't mean touristy, okay, just straight suburban market. Okay. If you're in a suburban market, or you're doing land, I recommend our American cold callers and text messaging. Okay.
Okay.
Doing both. Now, the Americans make a huge impact in suburban markets and for land. And the reason why is, those are areas where Americans, they really go a very far way. And they're not that saturated. There's not a lot of calls coming in. So if the one call is American, they listen a little harder.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, if you're in a saturated market, a city, a metro, a tourist attractive area, okay, I recommend doing foreign callers and doing text messaging. Okay, is basically what I recommend. And the reason why a lot of people go, well, why don't I do the American in the saturated market because everyone else is using foreign, so I'll stand out. Look, I totally get that. I totally get that. But the market is so saturated that it doesn't matter that there's a fucking American on the phone.
Mhm.
I'm just being honest, right? And so it's like if they, they're not going to answer anyways. They're getting so many calls. Ask them about an address. Right away, hey, I'm calling about 123. Yeah, it's not for sale, motherfucker. And they'll
Yeah.
hang up.
Right.
They're not even let you. They as soon as they know, like they know because they got 10 more of these calls.
Yeah.
And the other play is the Americans are more expensive, right? And in those saturated markets, you need volume.
Right.
Right. You need volume. There is no, hey, I got a list of people coming. Hey, I got 500 people. Am I going to close a deal? No, no, you're not. Not with the list of 500 people.
Mm.
We might get 2 leads, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
You
Right.
but it's like, we need volume if you're going to be in a saturated market. Okay. And so that's kind of how I recommend to do that. Now, the cool thing about us is my American packages start at $550, really inexpensive. Um, and that includes everything. We pull the list, we skip it, we call it, we text it. Our text messaging packages start at $80. So you have the list, you have phone numbers, you just need it texted, $80. That's where they start at. No subscriptions or anything. And then our foreign callers start at $1,400. And that's because you need that volume. But that $1,400 package is a huge package with like 5,000 foreign dials, 2,500 text messages,
Jeez.
and
Yeah.
and then like 3,250 records pulled in skip trace. But that's like a territory takeover. Like we're going in, we know it's going to be tough, so we're buying this amount of volume to make up for that.
Right. Um, so when you again, if let's say I'm new, I'm trying to pick a market, and let's just keep it local. We'll not talk
Yeah.
about virtual portion. So my local market, for example, where I live here in Flagstaff, Arizona,
Okay.
our population is shit. I haven't looked in a while, maybe 65,000, and that's pretty much that's just outside of our city limits. 65,000, not much land available because we're surrounded by national forest. What would you say would be the number of uh, minimum number of sellers on a list that you would want to approach a new market as somebody that's not, let's say, seasoned?
Yeah. So, I feel like starting with the list of 2,000 people
Mhm.
will give you a very great perspective. So, we've been in business for 8 years, and one thing I offer is I meet with all my clients one on one. And the reason why I bring that up is I see the data.
Yep.
Okay. And I've noticed at about 2,000 records, if you execute on those properly, you call everyone at least twice. So 4,000 dials, 2,000 records, look at your stats. You're going to get a great feel for the market. Okay. If you don't like what you see in those 2,000 records, get the fuck out of that market, right? It's
Yeah.
really, and now the next part would be market selection, right? So now I don't recommend if you're starting out going in the hottest zip codes in your market,
Yeah.
right? Now, if we already know the market's hot, then it's hot. So I recommend picking the slowest zip codes in the market. Okay, so whatever has the least transactions is what I recommend people pick when they're just starting out. Then if you have that means you have the least competition, you're going to get the most results. So now go back to those 2,000 records. If you're already in the coldest places in that market and you're not happy with those results, it's not going to be better anywhere else. Is a
Right.
good way to think about it. So then you should consider, do I need to go further out? Do I need to go virtual? Do I need to do this? But I think 2,000 records, we've learned I've never been asked that before. That's a great question. 2,000 records is a sweet spot for understanding your market.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I hated about Dallas when I lived there, when I first started real estate, is I'd show up to a house and there'd be a pile of postcards and
Yeah.
letters, or it'd be one of those sellers like, hey, it's one appointment and there's about 13 of you showing up, so good luck. So
Yeah.
it was miserable. I hated it.
Well, it's funny you said that. I've earned business like that. I had a guy show up, and go, Nick, I'm calling you because I just walked into a seller's house and there's a stack of postcards and mine was just on top.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he goes, I don't like that. That doesn't feel good enough. Like that's too up to chance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, same exact thing. And I'll tell you, I'll gladly give everyone the hottest markets in America right now. There's
Mhm.
like 6 of them. I'll just rattle them off. Okay. Orlando, Miami, Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, Southern California.
Yep.
Okay. Easily the worst, most expensive places to start. If you do not have $5,000 a month, maybe even $10,000 a month, do not touch those fucking markets. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just, and it's just because the cost per lead. That's the only thing and the cost per lead is up because everyone's going for it. The number one thing indicates leads. That's it. Number one thing. Take it from a guy who's been doing this for 8 years nationwide. And that's how many other people are pursuing those leads. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if it's low leads, all that means is there's other people pursuing it.
Right.
It's that simple. There is no dead market with no sellers. Everyone wants to sell. Someone got to them first. Is what happened.
So we're talking about saturated markets. It's why it's so difficult. If you're in there competing with, assuming you're new, even somewhat seasoned, going into a market with that many wholesalers and investors, it's just an uphill battle that gets
Right.
harder and harder. But for your business, per se, um, do your clients get market exclusivity, or is that lead exclusive to them, but there might be other people's marketing there as well?
Yeah, so that lead is exclusive to them. Since I don't have contracts or commitments, exclusivity doesn't make that much sense, only
Right.
because people come and go all the time, right?
Yep.
Now, if someone is in the same market, let's say I get off with someone and you're on the phone, I'll actually introduce you guys to each other, right? Because my thing is like, hey, maybe you're on different sides of the city, maybe you help each other close deals. Like, what do I know, right? But there is no market exclusivity, but there is lead exclusivity. Now, what that means is, let's say two different customers have a list and there's the same customer on each list. This guy answers and spills the beans, says, yes, he wants to sell. Here we go. Same guy answers a week later for the other client, is fucking grumpy as shit, doesn't let us say anything and hangs up on us. This guy does not get this guy's lead at
Right.
all. And our system doesn't even work like that. We only work for you while we work for you. We're
Mhm.
not just like dialing all of the lists in the area. It's like, no, it's Brandon Richards' campaign. And then the other thing we do is we build your list for you and then we send it to you for approval as well. So you look at it, hey, and we do this because we've learned over the years. We'll pull this and they'll go, I didn't say that. I didn't
Mhm.
want that. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's like, hey, we send it to you, but you'll only get leads from people that are on your list that were generated while we were working for you.
Awesome. Um, and sorry, I'm a little bit squirrel brain today,
You're
but
great.
you said um, if there's at least 2,000 leads, and if you don't call them at least 2 times, it made me think of, for me, if I pull a new list, I'm hitting that list at least 3 to 6 months every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And for me, my cold calling is kind of sporadic personally. But what would you say an effective,
Follow-up
consistent?
system.
Yeah, like are you calling once a week? Is it every 3 days? Like, what is your follow up there?
So the way I like to do it is you call a list to completion, then you recycle the list and call them again. And the
Immediately.
thing is, well, yes, but once the list is complete, so if it takes you a week to call it, then you recycle it and call it again. And some people like the double or the triple dial. Look, I'm not against that stuff. But what I've learned is you want someone to be happy to talk to you, to be curious to talk to you. If we see it all the time. You get a call 3 times in one day. When you finally answer it, you're like, motherfucker, what do you want?
Right.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
fucking busy. What I did that just the other day. The solar company kept calling me 5 times, and it's not that I'm not answering. I'm fucking busy. So
Right.
I'm finally laying in bed. It's 9 in the morning, and I just chew some guy's ass, right? So my thing is, the more you call, the more you train them to not answer your phone call. Okay, we don't want that to happen.
Right.
So I like to call through the whole list. When I'm done, I'll call through the whole list again. Then to answer the next part is I would never call a list more than 3 times. I've got the data.
Okay.
Okay, first time, most leads. Second time, honestly, second time still can be pretty good. Third time, big dip. Fourth time, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay, you're just wasting time at that point. Now, three dials per record over a couple week period. Let it cool down for a month. Okay, change your phone numbers. Call them again.
Okay. That was my next
So
one. Yep.
that's right. So that's what I recommend to clients. You want at least a 1 month cool down to occur. Some clients with big lists get really creative and they'll send us, they'll do a 3 month cool down. They'll send us one list 1 month, another list second month, another list third month, and then we'll go back to the first list on the fourth month and
Yeah.
the second list on the fifth month, right? So that's actually been really beneficial too. So it's not bad to retouch them, but it is if your cadence is too short in
Right.
between them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always been my concern, right? Because they're going to get pissed off. And even if you change
Right.
up your numbers, if they see any consistency at all, they're just like, well, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. And that's I actually brought that point up live on the spot today. It was the first time I've ever said that out loud,
Hmm.
but it's very true. You're also training them to stop answering their fucking phone,
Yeah.
right? And the more you bombard them with trash calls, the less they're going to answer when you actually, let's say they do become a lead one day. Well, now they're going to answer even less. So it's like, so I recommend my strategy, and we do a great job. We get a high contact rate. We average 7 to 12% when we cold call, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say it works.
Yeah. And for me, it feels like, and I could be wrong, that's why I'm asking, it seems obvious to have a local number to your
Have to,
list.
have
Right.
to,
Okay.
have to.
So are my assumption is that you're providing the number, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So we're not
yeah,
giving you our call rail access or whatever it
that's
is.
right.
You do a new number for every client for every market, and then
We do, yeah, we do 3 numbers
yeah,
per client that comes on with us right
yeah,
now. Yeah, no, it's great. We do
yeah,
3 numbers for them. And then we set it to cycle it out. So like every 150 dials per day, that numbers gets cycled out. to the next one. So it
Interesting.
automatically rotates. Yeah, we do that for protection,
Mhm.
but you're 100% right. So when you hire us, you give me area codes.
Yep.
And then I buy numbers in those exact area codes.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
make my clients give them to me because people used to give us cities and then we would look it up and it would be a wrong area code for human error, whatever the fuck it is. Right.
Yep.
So now I'm like, you give me 3 area codes that are good for your area.
Yeah.
And then we'll go buy your phone numbers for you.
Yeah. And then, so for me, I can't remember if my VAs accidentally triggered it or if CallRail forced upon us, but now we have to, every single first text is an opt out. From what I gather based off researching, because I can't figure out how to turn it off, because it's annoying to
Can't.
me.
You
Yeah,
can't.
but it's mandatory. So CallRail forced that on all users now?
Yeah, that is the law for every highly regulated platform. So the first message has to have, there's a couple of laws or rules, I'll say. There's a couple of rules. One of them is you're also, I think, supposed to have your whole business name in the first
Interesting.
text message. So like
Ouch.
if you text message through Twilio, if I'm
Mhm.
not mistaken, like your first message has to be like, "Hey, I'm with realestateinvestingpros.com.
Mhm.
Do you accept this message?" Right? And then they have to have like a reply stop to opt out if you're not
Dang.
interested. Um, but after a while, you can turn that off. Now, with us, I have been A2P registered for a while. And as of this moment, and we've never had to do this, we do not have to put the reply stop to opt out at the bottom of our messages. And I do not really know why that is. I don't ask a lot of questions. I'm sure you guys can imagine. I know that I have been A2P registered for 4 years.
Mhm.
And I know that the system I use is not Twilio, right? So Twilio, there's certain platforms out there that are highly regulated. CallRail, Twilio, like these people with hundreds of thousands of subscribers,
Yep.
that's who the government goes to first, right? For enforcement. But the
Yep.
way our texts work, I don't know if it's how the software is written or what makes it right, but we don't have a reply stop to opt out. And we also don't have a deliverability issue. So all of the carriers have approved our message that we send out to everyone. And that
Yeah.
message is, do you own the property at address? And have you ever considered selling before?
Yeah.
So we send that message without a reply stop to opt out for our customers.
Interesting. And so the A2P and the 1010 DLC, are those the same or are those different?
So A2P10 DLC is a registration
Well, that's
process.
the entire, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That every business, even you, if you're texting on CallRail, you had to apply for that
Yep.
because that's what they changed nationwide. And when you do that, you link your EIN with those phone numbers, so they actually know that you're linked, and then you begin texting.
Yeah.
And the beauty of not having the reply stop to opt out is my responses are much friendlier, right? If
Right.
if you're sitting there and it says reply stop to opt out, you know that a human just texted you. You know what I mean? And so,
Yep.
or, I'm sorry, that a robot just texted you. You
Yep.
know it did not come
Or,
from a human.
right.
Um, and then when it doesn't have that, our responses are nice. No, thank you.
Mhm.
Not interested. It's like
Yeah.
they're not telling us to go fuck ourselves.
Yeah.
Whenever we
Yeah.
do.
It's instant spam. I hate it. As soon as I
Right.
saw it, I messaged my team. I was like, what the hell did you guys trigger on CallRail? And they're like, it wasn't us. It wasn't us. And I was like,
Yeah.
dang it,
Right. Right.
dude. This sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that because
I even heard I even heard Aircall the other day was refusing service to people saying that they're in real estate using their text messaging. They're like, we've decided. I actually just posted it on my Facebook wall. If you want to take a look after this, someone posted a chat that said, "Hey, we've noticed that your account is in real estate, and we are no longer supporting text messaging for people in real estate."
wow.
Well, yeah. And so it's like there's going to be, yeah, I do think that there's more stuff coming, especially from the highly regulated sources.
Yeah.
And it just like everything, it's because shit rolls downhill. Someone's breathing down their neck.
Yeah.
I mean, if no one was up their ass, they wouldn't be up your ass.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's unfortunate because and I went through a lot of those platforms. Smarter Contact, Call. Well, I still use Call. This is what I'll use until the day I die, probably. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of them that are just getting nailed right now,
Yeah.
man. And there's, I mean, just for people out there, for me, I stopped texting a while ago, not just because the forced opt out with CarRail, but I was at a mastermind in Iowa, and the guy was in the middle of a $5 million lawsuit because he was texting full time, and he got sniped by one of those attorneys that seek out people like us, and he was able to get him into court. And I don't remember how it went, but I mean, it just sounds like a painful process. So hiring people like you that have all the compliances in order, it's for me, it's like it saves me the headache, and while you guys are compliant.
Yeah, exactly. And you're really 100% right. And even a lot of those lawsuits, I'll share with you guys real quick. A lot of those lawsuits, a lot of them are extortion,
Oh, it's
right?
frivolous for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, they just want to, they got one text message from you. That's like going to the police and being like, that guy sold me one little bag of drugs. I don't know if you guys know, but the police don't care about that guy.
Right.
It's going to cost that cop more to investigate that guy than the trouble he's worth, right? So it's like on some of these things, they just have this one little piece of evidence. Now they shoot, and it's very stressful, but they're trying to stress you
Hmm.
into paying them. And one thing I'll share just real fast about the DNC that a lot of people don't know. I actually looked up the DNC and what it means the other day. So a lot of people think, oh, I called them. They're on the DNC. They can sue me now. No, no, they cannot sue you. The way the DNC works is they can report you to the government and the government fines you. That's the way it works. There is no, oh, you called me. I'm going to sue your ass. No,
Hmm.
that is. Now they could say, hey, give me $2,000 and I won't tell the government and they won't fine you $10,000. They can say that, right? But I just want to let everyone know you are not under legal grounds to be sued because you called somebody that was on the DNC list. They can report you to the authority and the authority can fine you.
Yeah.
But the government did not create the DNC, so Americans start suing each other all over the country. So it kind of makes sense if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I've had, I mean, I've been doing this 10 years now, and I can't count on hands and toes how many times I've been threatened to be sued, and
Right.
then nothing has ever happened
Nothing.
because
Right.
one, they're just, they're just shooting at the hip, they're pissed off, and really they don't have either the means or the know-how to pursue it if they want to report it to the government. But
And the other thing too, just to add a sense of protection to it, guys, when you're super nice, when you're actually, so we've never been threatened. Well, we've never really been threatened, but here's what we say. Do you know I'm on the DNC list? Here's the line. Oh my God, I must have the wrong number. We will never ever call you again.
yep.
And then you know what? We never ever call them again. I actually have at my company an internal DNC of everyone who's ever told us they're on that list. It has
Mhm.
37,000 people on it. And we've never
Jeez
called them
Louise.
again. And it's like that's how you respect the DNC. It's like one call is nothing. But when you call them again or you pick a fight with them, they are going to start catching. So I will say, it's not all doom and gloom. It's like just be cordial, be respectful, and have good practices where
Yeah.
you actually do not call them again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking to another human. Why not just be respectful and nice?
Yeah.
I don't get these people that get all bent over it and they're just making some sort of vendetta for no reason. It's just like, dude, I get pissed when people call me, so why can't you get pissed when I call you? Just let's just work it out. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for
But,
sure.
um, I'm trying to think of other things to help listeners because I didn't know you taught, so this is why I'm asking it. I am starting a free wholesaling course soon
Oh, wonderful. Yeah,
to help market my software company.
love it.
And for me, I know what works for me, which is what I'm going to teach on. But what would you say for? Well, I'm gonna guess that most of the people coming to my course are brand spanking, like don't know anything. What would you say to that person coming into real estate? They saw an Instagram reel of no money down, real estate investing, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, wholesaling is my roadmap to millions. What would you say
Right.
to that person? Like how do they get started and without smashing their dreams? Because I
Yeah.
mean, you're not going to be a millionaire wholesaler within the first, what, 3 to 5 years minimum, if
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to be painful, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
lessons expensive quick. So when I ran the coaching company, here's what I would tell people. Okay. I would say, first of all, the road to real estate investing is very frustrating. Okay. And we have to learn new systems. We have to learn new people. We have software, scripts, styles, strategies, processes, employees, right? All this stuff we have to learn. Okay. So the first thing I recommend is I say, look, don't overwhelm yourself. All right. Focus on what brings you money. That's why my business, I think, is great. I give you leads, you call leads. I've always said paying for leads is the best education you're ever going to get if you actually follow up with them.
Mhm.
Okay. Every education, even I offer education, you do too. And I'm with you. Mine's free. And it's like it's free for the same your point, because I want you to know what to do with the leads.
Right.
Like if I can get you to close a deal, you're going to be great. But do what makes you money, right? So that could be cold calling. Think about cold calling. Yeah, it's going to suck. Yeah, you're going to have to eat shit for a little bit, but you're going to get so comfortable having the conversation that after your first 500 calls, you're going to be almost a natural. And I'll tell you,
Yeah.
500 calls is like 2 days,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, so putting in the reps and working towards an actual skill that will build for the future is the first thing. The next thing I would tell these people is if you showed up at your friend's house and they had a piano and they were like, "Hey, look at my new piano. I'm going to sell out stadiums." Like, oh yeah? Oh yeah, when's
Hmm.
that gonna? Oh, did you know how to play piano? Not yet. Not
Hmm.
yet, I don't. But I've got a piano teacher and I'm gonna get it, right? And it's like we respect how long it takes to learn an instrument, right? It's like it's going to take that guy 6 months to play without his instructor nearby.
Yeah.
Okay. And I say, so if you're picking up a new skill right now, you're going to get this skill. But if you think it's going to take you 2 weeks to learn this and it takes you 4 months, you're going to shatter your confidence.
Yep.
Okay. And it's like, don't do that to yourself. Know that this takes time. Learn one thing at a time and then execute from there. So if we wouldn't buy a piano and expect to make money from playing piano in front of people in 3 months, then why would we do that with anything else? So I did that to help calm down their ferociousness. I want you to dive into the education and the action taking. But don't tell yourself you're going to close a deal in 30 days,
Yeah.
because as soon as you hit 35 days, your confidence is going to start getting affected.
Right.
And the last point is confidence is fucking everything. So you need to manage your confidence through this experience. If at any, I can't speak for anyone else, but let's talk about paintball real quick.
Mhm.
Okay. I love paintball. I absolutely love it. But there's people out there that hate it. And every person, if you ever talk to anyone, they say, I hate paintball. I say, can I guess, did you get shot a lot
Mhm.
last time that you went? Yeah, how'd you guess? Well, the only people that hate paintball are the ones that get shot all the time. The ones shooting other people love paintball. And
Right.
so winning keeps us in the game longer. So set up parameters so you feel like you're winning more often. And that win is not always a closed deal. Sometimes it's great conversations, sometimes it's doing the work, so it doesn't always look like making money.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of even just for my personal, peace of mind or whatever you want to call it. But when I have multiple weeks of, well, what did I even get done? Like, I feel like I did a lot of things, but not a whole lot got done. But then I realized, well, I did. I didn't give myself the pat on the back for those little wins that make it to the big wins. And
Right.
so setting up proper expectations, well, you call, let's say, 500 people and you didn't get any leads, but dude, you called 500 freaking people. That's a milestone. Now you
Yeah.
just
Right.
keep building on it until you do get a lead. And then
Right.
for me, well, I would say most investors I've ever interviewed, it's a roller coaster. It's like, oh shit, 3 deals. Oh, here's a month of no deals. Oh,
Right.
I got one deal. No
Yeah.
deals. 3 deals. So realizing and expecting that the first few years of the real estate investing and even longer is going to be a roller coaster of emotions and leads and money and everything that comes along with it. And you'll have one strategy that works great for 3 months, and they're like, well, it's dead. What the hell happened? What did I do wrong? When really it could just be a market thing. Maybe there's too many people doing that strategy. So
Right.
always just giving yourself, the benefit of the doubt that you are progressing, even though it doesn't necessarily look like that, especially
Right.
when it comes to your bank account.
Yeah. And and I call those micro wins, right? I would
Yeah.
set up your micro wins. Not everything is a closed deal. Hey,
Right.
10 great conversations equals one great lead. So if you're having one great conversation, you're on your way. It's like I remember this was true when I cold called. If someone said to me, "It was so nice talking to you today."
Hmm.
I would be like, bam, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my shit right there. Because if I interrupt them and I can give them a good experience, I'm on the right path,
Yep.
right? It doesn't have to be contract signed or them wanting 50 cents on the dollar or anything, right? And I think that that's such a great point. Setting up the micro win so you can pat yourself on the back along the way. That's the most important thing when you're new at anything.
Yep.
When you're at anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those great conversations, it's like it washes out the 15 shit ones you just had
That's right.
every time. Yeah.
It reminds you what you're doing. And I'll tell you one more thing. People know when you're going through shit. I remember the day I quit my job to do lead mining full time.
Mhm.
True story. I'm still a cold caller. I was my first employee. Okay. So I'm cold calling and my headset was fucking up. And the woman goes, "You suck at this. Whatever you do, don't quit your day job." And I was like, "How did she know?" I just, I just quit my fucking job, and that shit hurts. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
it hurts. And the other part about entrepreneurship is, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's not when everything relies on you. You know, it's not always that much fun. And that's the other reason why you have to maintain your confidence because it is all up to you. There's no boss. When you're at work, you're like, "Hey boss, get over here, solve this problem I couldn't figure out. All right, let me know when
Hmm.
it's done."
Hmm.
And it's like it's a different vibe. It's all you. Like I'm like, "Oh, it's me."
Yeah.
Who's gonna help me? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to
Right.
help myself
Yeah.
here. You
Yeah.
know?
And I mean, that's the painful truth of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you got a 9 to 5, you're like, shit, I don't want to get fired. I gotta be there. But when you're working from home, it's like, I could go to my office or I could just lounge today, and it's really
Right.
setting up,
No,
those it's not like it's just not motivation. It's the consistency with doing what you're supposed to do to get the results.
yeah, exactly. Right. That's
Yeah.
right. What are we doing every day for sure?
Yeah.
There's normally one thing that I like to touch on before we go. And that's this bad habit I've seen. Don't forget, I work with all my clients. So every week I send my clients all their stats and then
Yep.
I invite them to book a Zoom call with me.
Hmm.
So there's one bad habit I've seen I just like to talk to everybody about before I get out of here.
Hmm.
And that is prejudging leads. Okay.
Yeah.
We see notes, we bum ourselves out. This lead's gonna fucking suck. We psych ourselves out and then we go into the lead and we ruin our own experience. If you tell yourself something's gonna suck, it's gonna suck
Yeah.
flat
No,
out.
right.
You
Well,
know?
that's a good point. I made a post about that the other day. Is I just bought a piece of land a couple months ago, and what were the numbers? Market value 60,000. He paid 26, and I had to buy it at 18,000 or less. Otherwise, it wasn't a deal. And going in, I was like, man, I'm just not going to get it. I need to buy it more or less than what he has into it. But I made the call anyways, and I got the deal. And I was like, dude, had I not made this call, I wouldn't have got this deal. So going into it with these preconceived,
That's right.
ideas of what that seller's motivation is almost always completely wrong.
That's right. Because you
Yeah.
have no idea. And I used to say the same thing. I said, wait until you call a lead that you weren't going to and you make $20,000. Every time after that, you're going to be like, call that
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, but I understand being scared, but we also have to be open to our mind being changed, right?
Yep.
So the first piece is don't prejudge a lead based off its notes. Okay. Notes don't mean shit. Okay. It's the first phone call. One of my favorite sayings about my father when he was alive was I barely know what my father is going through, and he's one of the closest people to me. Why would this seller tell me everything on the first phone call?
Right.
I talked to my dad for 3 hours a day, or 2 hours a day, and I know, and I still don't know things about him. So why would this? So that's one important lesson. The other piece I was going to touch on, other than prejudging leads, is stop over disqualifying leads. You can probably relate to this too, Brent.
Mhm.
I had one client be like, "Yeah," he said, he calls leads and he goes, "Yeah, you don't really want to sell, do you?" And it's like, and there's this culture out there that is, well, if I just get them off the phone, that's the same as me calling the lead. No, it's not. And so, but I'm sure you've heard that too. It's like, we're like, oh, well, you were just bullshitting with me, right?
Mm.
It's like, look, I get that attitude. You're trying to save your time, but that's not the move. Here's my view on it. Every lead's worth 2 to 5 minutes of your time. Okay. And stop trying to qualify a lead based off their level of distress. You know what I think the ultimate qualifier is? It's how easy they are to talk to.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate qualifier. If they're raging or yelling, hang up the phone. You don't want to sign that contract anyways. That guy's going to fucking make you miserable for the next 2 months. And then he's going to cancel at the last second anyways, right?
Yeah.
But if they're easy to talk to, you keep on talking until your relationship gets better. And then when your relationship gets better, then you go ahead
Yeah.
and you take it to the next level. But so many people are like, well, they didn't have any distress. Well, did you know them long enough to get to any? I mean, we all have fucking distress. I mean, I'm a millionaire and my house flooded fucking in the hurricane that happened in September. I'm pretty fucking distressed right now.
Mhm.
And it's like it's all relative. We all have something in our life that's distressing us, so
Yeah.
whether we want to admit it or not.
Well, that reminds me of another topic, was not expecting a lead to pull a trigger on call one.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's right.
it's all about building, because a lot of my deals, especially my bigger deals, dude, it's been 3 years of follow up, like consistent follow up every couple of months. Like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah,
How's it going? Until they finally pull a trigger.
yeah,
And expecting your list to perform day one, kind of like
yeah,
what we were talking about before, getting a deal in the first 30 days. It's just possible, sure, but realistic, not
yeah.
really. Yeah.
That's right. And then even if you do that, it might be another 90 for the next one
Yeah.
too, right? It's going to average. Everything is going to average, right? At some,
Right.
but you're exactly right. It's like stop expecting the first call to be so great, which is really the same exact thing. We need to make these calls great,
Yeah.
right? They're not just going to be great. What's your energy like going into it? If you're grumpy, they're going to be grumpy.
Yeah.
If you're, so what I tell my team, as a little hint, is to be 1 octave higher than them on the happiness scale. Not 3, because that's too far ahead, but just a little bit happier than the seller is on the phone. We want to inspire them to be a little bit brighter, right? So that they can open up to us. So just like that one little octave higher
Yeah.
in vibration.
No, that's great advice. Great advice.
Okay.
Um, Shoot, there goes again, another brain fart, but that's all right. I can't think of what it was now. But
Good.
it was probably something in line with the follow-up, just
Yeah.
being consistent with it and not giving up after call one. But
Yeah. Yeah, I have and you talked about, I think, some of yours earlier. I tell all my clients to call everyone 6 times over a 2 week period. Leave a voicemail every time and then text after you leave
yeah.
the voicemail. So it's like you're hitting them on it. I can't tell you, people will book calls with me, miss my call. Maybe they have their phone on DND. I don't know why. And then I text them, I go, hey, it's Nicholas with Lead Mining.
Mm.
Oh, it's you. Oh shit, man. Oh, okay. What's up, dude? So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we don't want to just call or just text. Or the other thing is like get away from just texting. Okay, take it from someone. No, very few people respond to a text message. A ton of people will answer a ringing phone. Okay, so just texting is putting you into a weird place where they won't talk to you. Get comfortable calling all of your leads first, and then using texting as a last resort.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
And like you said, that follow-up text is ultra important.
yeah.
They could be in the middle of doing anything and they're like, oh shit, I'll call back later. But then the text pops up as a reminder, even if they forget to call you back because of the missed call.
Yeah, that's exactly, and they have the voicemail and everything from. And I tell you, it's clean, it makes sense. And then Grant Cardone, he teaches something really ninja as a last ditch follow up. uh, record a video of yourself and text that to them,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right?
I was just
And
in an event where they recommended that.
yeah, that's one of his old school sales strategies that he launched a while ago. Corey Thompson taught me that. He's like, we follow all of his stuff, and it's like it's just personalized. Say their name in the video so
Yeah,
they don't think you're being generic. And I mean, like you said earlier, if you're really skip tracing them and you're really trying to get this lead, hey man, every fucking thing counts, right? I mean,
yeah.
this is a $30,000, $50,000 payday in some
Hmm.
cases, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. No, that's great. I actually forgot about that method, but Paul Rail won't allow that, so let's figure that one out. I'll write it down. Taking notes.
Absolutely.
Sweet man. Well, if anybody wants to reach out, I'm certainly going to do it after this phone call, or interview, whatever you want to call it. But how do people find you to discuss working with you at Lead Mining?
The best thing is leadminingpros.com. There's an S at the end of pros.
Okay.
I'll give out my cell phone number real quick. Anyone's welcome to call me spontaneously. My cell is 727-877-8772. My name's Nicholas. I'm the owner of the company. I handle all sales calls myself, all new clients. And what I like to do is people reach out to me. I'll tell you of everything I offer. I'll tell you what to buy in your market. You don't have to guess. I'll tell you if you should go American or foreign, or if you should go calls or texts, or what you should do. I
Yep.
never give you advice based off my sales. I give you advice based off what's good for you. And that's why we've been open for 8 years. But you guys can reach out or go to the website. My cell's on the website too.
Awesome, man. I greatly appreciate you coming on
Yeah.
and talking about all the annoying things with the laws coming up, and then
Yeah.
giving us actionable things to move forward on.
Yeah, I love this stuff. If you ever want me to come back, man, I'm all for it. This was
Yeah.
great.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, Brandon.
See ya.
you,
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed today's content. I want to thank you all for listening in. And as the great Les Brown stated, if you are not pursuing your dreams, you are literally committing spiritual suicide. We'll catch you on the flip side.